Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, October 14, 2021. The National Identification and Registration Act 2021, also known as the NIDS Bill, was approved in Parliament on Wednesday. This after months of consultations and revision. It includes several amendments to the previous bill that was passed in 2020. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the bill, which represents the contribution of many stakeholders and rigorous deliberations of the Joint Select Committee, is a great achievement. Mr. Holness says the political tug-of-war and conspiracy theory that accompany the introduction of new policy or legislation to benefit the society is a deterrent to national development.
The lack of a transparent and trusted digital identification system hinders the simplification of bureaucracy. It creates an excessively complicated administrative procedure that prevents access to the most vulnerable amongst us. Madam Speaker, national identification is the foundation to advance changes that will have a lifelong positive impact on our country.
Meanwhile, Justice Minister and Chairman of the NIDS Committee, Delroy Chuck, says the need for identification is significant and the NIDS ID will solve this issue.
This bill, as the Prime Minister said, is about identification. And what we hope, Madam Speaker, can emerge from this bill is an identification card, a means of identification that will be the gold standard of identification.
Minister Chuck says over 135 face-to-face meetings were held by the NIDS Secretariat with various stakeholder groups. The Joint Select Committee had 32 meetings, 6 of which were virtual town halls, and 100 contributions in letters were received.
This bill has gone through a thorough, open, transparent participation, and so all Jamaica can feel that this bill belongs to them.
The bill has been strengthened to protect the rights and privacy of an enrolled individual, as well as the organizational and governance structure of the authority to ensure penalties reflect the gravity of the offense created under the legislation. It will also implement double layers of oversight from the Information Commissioner's Office and the National Identification and Registration Inspectorate. The NIDS bill will now go before the Senate for approval. Approximately 60% of tourism workers have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett provided these statistics yesterday as he gave an update on the state of the industry in Parliament. He said a tourism vaccination task force was established to facilitate the vaccination of tourism workers island-wide.
And I want to make the point again, as I've made before, we are requiring every worker and every player, stakeholder in the tourism to be fully vaccinated.
The minister said the aim is for all 170,000 tourism workers to be vaccinated and protected from the negative effects of COVID-19 and the other variants. Mr. Bartlett said the health and safety of both frontline tourism workers, citizens and visitors remain a top priority. He said the country's robust vaccination program, along with tourism safety procedures such as the Tourism COVID-19 Resilient Corridors, have earned Jamaica the admiration of international partners. The House of Representatives on Tuesday approved the 23 amendments by the Senate on the sexual harassment bill without further changes. Gender Minister Olivia Grange said the changes, which were significant, have been incorporated in the bill. Of note, Minister Grange said, is the adjustment to Clause 4. It imposes a duty on every employer and heads of institutions to issue a policy statement detailing information regarding the protection of workers and students from sexual harassment.
There was concern with this requirement being complied with by micro-employers and those individuals engaged in work in domestic spaces. This obligation was felt to be too onerous for these employers, but not for bigger businesses. To cure the concern, it was agreed that the clause be amended by giving the minister power to acknowledge those employment circumstances where use of the policy framework document would not be appropriate. The exercise of this power is subject to affirmative resolution, thus ensuring that there is oversight of the exemption from both houses.
Clause 8 makes it a requirement for businesses and institutions to have a confidential register that will document alleged claims of sexual harassment, findings in such cases, and cases of exoneration. Clause 12 removes investigation powers from the tribunal and has vested such responsibility to the authorized field officers who are appointed to the Bureau of Gender Affairs. The bill also makes provision for false claims of sexual harassment.
Clause 41(1) has been deleted and replaced with this formulation. A person who knowingly makes a false sexual harassment claim or a false complaint commits an offense. Both terms, complaint and sexual harassment claim, are defined, and the amendments now makes it clear that a false complaint or false sexual harassment claim are both wrong and actionable in the parish court to a fine not exceeding $1 million.
All 5 zones of special operations, ZOSO, have been extended for a further 60 days. The areas are Mount Salem and Norwood in St. James, and Denham, August, and Greenwich Town in Kingston. While moving the motion in Parliament on Wednesday, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said the various strategies will continue within the communities.
The zones have respectively transitioned into the following phases. Mount Salem, Denham Town will continue the build phase. August Town and Greenwich Town will continue the hold phase, while now will continue the clear phase of the strategy.
Maureen Dwyer is now Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Mrs. Dwyer, who is Chief Inspector in the National Education Inspectorate, assumes responsibilities starting today. This follows Acting Permanent Secretary Dr. Grace McLean's proceeding on leave to facilitate an investigation which has been launched into an Auditor General's report concerning fiduciary and related issues at the ministry. In a release, the Office of the Prime Minister, OPM, says Dr. McLean's leave will ensure there is no hindrance, real or perceived, to the course of the investigations. The OPM adds that it anticipates a thorough and expeditious probe. And finally, this year's ceremony of investiture and presentation of national honors and awards will again be held virtually in keeping with government's social distance protocol to limit the potential for the spread of COVID-19. The prepackaged production will be aired at 9 a.m. on Monday, October 18 on TVJ, CVM-TV, Love and PBCJ. It will also be streamed live on the JIS, OPM and JCDC's websites. Over 200 Jamaicans will be honored with various awards recognizing their contribution to national development in a number of areas. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.